LowdownSportsMarkets.com.
Breaking down the fine art of sports, one rep at a time. The Lowdown with Lowetide. Thanks for checking out Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf G.
Breaking down the fine art of sports, one rep at a time. The Lowdown with Lowetide. Thanks for checking out Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
To the Lowdown. Today's show, day 6 of the Olympics. Canada already, and possibly 5 more medals on the way. Men's hockey wins over Czechia 5. Klopp, Connor McDavid, 3 assists. Canadian women's hockey 5-0 as well over Finland. They now take on Germany in the quarterfinals. Elliot Grodin wins snowboard cross Olympic silver. That's back-to-back Olympic silvers for him. And Michael Kingsbury, silver in moguls. More to come. Canada, 6 medals, 3 silver, and 3 bronze. And we'll keep you updated as the day rolls along because there are some medal opportunities here for this afternoon. And, of course, both hockey teams winning. Outstanding. Lowdown is brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. Family-owned, community-driven. We're making it easy. Visit wolfgmcbuick.com. A few details you know about. We're live on YouTube and Sports 1440 online. You can catch us at iHeartRadio, sports1440.ca, and Radio Player Canada. We tweeted out on X after the show, also Apple and Spotify podcast. We're on Twitter at Lowetide, Declan Krueger, J Fenwick 04, and at Mac McClellan. Text or call us at 833-401-1440. Bag Milk will be our guest today. We'll talk about the Olympics, about Canada, about McDavid, and maybe a few rumors too. Ottawa, Edmonton connected just by people talking about what may or may not be out there, and more Toronto possibilities. We'll have that on rumors as well. Okay, it's time for the introductions. He is quickly becoming the cool one on the panel, an excellent fact checker, and is well informed on slang words old people don't know. I should know that, and I do. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mackenzie McLennan. Mackenzie, how are you?
I'm good. That was a huge compliment. Thank you so much.
Well, no problem. I mean, which part? The cool one or the fact checker one?
The cool and the fact checker.
All right,
Yeah.
Very good. He used to be the cool one before Mackenzie got here. Was an excellent fact checker too, but now we don't care because we got Mackenzie. He remains the movie and basketball expert on the show, and for that we love him. Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Fenwick. Josh Fenwick.
I gotta be honest, I guess this is my turn to take a shot. I don't think I was ever the cool one on this panel. I'm pretty sure it was Declan.
No, I'm the one who makes these decisions. I hand out the cool points. All right. He's the man on this panel who has actually done things in sports. Okay. As he said to me, I'll never forget this. When we first met and talked about the show, he said, Al, I boxed, was active in swimming, also boxing, plus high school football, took a few headshots in boxing, and also boxing. So we know he's a good man and he knows how to box. Ladies and gentlemen, Declan Krueger. Declan Krueger.
Yeah, that was good. That was awesome.
How many concussions? We talked about this yesterday, but I've been thinking about it since. Like 5?
No, I don't know. It's tough to put a number on it, you know?
I worry. Have you had, you've gone to people and been tested and all that, right?
Yeah, kind of. But again, you just stop going.
Yeah, but
it's like you go and you find out you have one and then you just stop boxing.
Okay, but my dad had dementia.
Yeah.
And that's not a joke. That's really bad.
Yeah.
So I always worry about it for myself. And now I'm worried about it for you.
Yeah. I'm not sitting here thinking I'm cool or anything.
No, but
done this.
I hope you're taking every precaution for your future, sir. Like you would if you had played football in the NFL for 5 years.
Yeah, no, okay. I like to think I am. I don't know. Right. I could probably be doing a little bit more Sudoku to strengthen the brain and stuff like that. But
all right,
you know,
that's that game you can play on your phone.
Yeah,
Right.
you can play it anywhere in the
Oh, sure.
newspaper.
Oh,
You remember
of
those things?
Yeah. No. Yeah, a little bit. Terry Jones, every once in a while, texts me and says, how come you don't subscribe? But TJ and I go back about 100 years. All right. Olympic thoughts, everybody. I'll just mention that I thought McDavid had a whale of a game. All of Team Canada, men and women, did today. But McDavid was hitting people. He was drawing penalties. Great passing. Had a chance, 2 chances early. I think in the second period to score. Didn't have it happen. But my takeaway was, oh my God, McDavid is so good. What about you guys?
I'll go first since you guys got to share the mic. Or actually,
Maybe you should let them
You're
go
already
first.
talking.
Here,
so
you
you
go
might as
first.
well.
You go first.
This is like,
and then
you know,
I'll go. Then Big Mike goes.
Dance
No,
of
yeah, it
Races,
was obviously
Night at the Opera.
incredible performance.
Other
3
movies.
assists. I don't know what his total on the tournament was. Like when you have a team that good and that put together, you kind of you want, like, you wonder how much of the wealth is going to get shared, if you will. He comes out and obviously has the 3 points, incredible game. Didn't like, it was easy for them. Jason had made the point yesterday, they're going to be more reminiscent of the 2010 Olympic team than the 2014 Olympic team because of the offensive prowess. Not that they had a bad defensive game or anything like that, but it was certainly evident in the game last night. You never want to call something a 2-horse race. You don't know how things are going to play out. Like, look at how Italy just played. And that's kind of a weird example because they're probably not that strong of a team. But you never know how things are going to play out in a best-on-best format. So a lot can remain to be seen. A lot can happen. But they look through one game like a team, hungry and a team coming for gold. And the other thing I wanted to kind of put out really quickly before, we toss it over to Mac and Josh. My friends and I were having this discussion this morning. If Italy played every game 5-on-4, how far could they go in the tournament? And I just want to put that out to the listeners. Let you guys think on it.
You mean all the 60 entire minutes?
It's 60 minutes, 5-on-4, but not on the penalty kill. So, like, the rules of hockey still exist, right? Like,
Okay,
you
but if
can't.
they take a penalty, it would be 4-on-4.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you can't ice the puck.
I don't think they beat Germany. So
See, we rationed that they at 5-on-3. If they played every single game 5-on-3, they might be able to win it. Because 5-on, like, 2-man advantage for 60 minutes. Like, how do you get a shot off if you're that team with 3 men? But 5-on-4 was a bit more of an interesting discussion. So I'd like to know what everyone thinks on it. And like I said, just want to end with that before passing it off to Mac and Josh.
I think they probably win bronze.
okay, can we get back to what happened today?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, you're asking the opposing teams to play shorthanded with the best players in the world, regardless.
I don't think they make it to the medal round.
Oh, if they're playing 5-on-4,
5-on-4. Yeah.
that's a lot of shorthanded goals.
I mean, are they that, like, they played well today?
They played well today,
Right.
yeah.
They're
But,
definitely the weakest team in the field. by
definitely the
far.
weakest team in the field. But like that is a lot of shorthanded goals.
And we don't have to fix it on this right now. I just
Yeah.
wanted to.
Okay,
Okay,
I would really
sorry.
like
Yeah,
to
we can
talk
come
about
back to that
the
later.
events of the day, if we can get
We
to
can go
that.
back to that.
That would be good.
Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, Macklin Celebrini, shout out.
Man.
Just having an absolute
What a tip, right?
having an absolute year. And he gets the goal. I thought it was a snipe from Cale Makar. I totally missed the tip. I was just so excited that he got it off, and I saw the back of the net move. I'm like, oh my God. And then the Stone goal, I thought it was Marner who scored that too. I thought he jumped over and like sort of Michiganed it in, but no, it just puts it right over to Stone. Like, it was really fun. The other thing I took away was that Drew Doughty, yeah, he might not be the offensive guy that he once was, but my God, he was out there. He was hitting.
He was hustling.
Yeah,
too.
He was working hard out there. So like really sort of solidified himself to me anyways, that like he's not coming out of that lineup. There's experience here, and like, yeah, he's been pouring the NHL, but maybe he's just been saving himself for this.
Morrissey's hurt too, right?
Yeah.
Morrissey is out.
I thought it was really funny during the intermission when Elliot Friedman like took a break to tell everyone, he was like, okay, guys, Josh Morrissey's out. And by the way, they can't bring anyone else in. Travis Sanheim has to play. And the way he said it basically made Travis Sanheim sound like he was just some scrub.
Travis
like, you're on the
Sanheim,
Olympic
bum.
team. But the way Elliot was describing it, he's like, guys, listen, you're going to have to put up with Travis Sanheim here. It's all going to be okay. I'm thinking like, Elliot, man, like this kid, like, he's on the Olympic team. He's not like,
No.
it's all good, Elliot.
No.
Also, that scoring chance that McDavid had, I put a tweet out today that like my favorite part of best on best hockey is that, best players fly under one flag. And so it's the one time or it's the only time that I get to cheer for Connor McDavid. And when he had that sick move where I thought for sure he had elevated it enough to get it in on Dostal, I was like, oh my God, I thought he put it in, but the camera moved over to track him. And I just thought that was the puck going in the net. I was like, oh, he's so good. Unfortunately, not the case. So
That's a great point you make, though, about all of Canada getting to
all of Canada gets to cheer for everybody they want, and Leafs fans still get to boo Austin Matthews. So it's really a win-win for everybody.
And Marner, a little bit.
And Marner.
What about you, Mackenzie?
All right. So I was hoping that neither Josh or Declan was going to take this. So obviously, Celebrini, like that entire line is so much fun to watch with Wilson, McDavid, and Celebrini. But Celebrini, after scoring that goal, is now the youngest Canadian-born player to score in an Olympic game.
Did not know that. That's very cool.
Yeah, I had to fact check myself when I was getting ready for my sports update. So I thought that was really, really cool. And yeah, everybody's hitting too, because McDavid had a big one right in the opening couple of minutes. McKinnon has laid a few too. And that hit Wilson had on Gudis, I could watch that like over and over and over.
And Gudis deserves like that hit every 7 seconds for what he's done over the years.
Yeah.
It is outstanding. There's no doubt. By the way, Cam Tate is asking what you would like on today's 2-minute warning, whether it's Celebrini, as we were just talking about with Mackenzie, Connor McDavid, who obviously had a great game. And then the third option is medals falling apart. And should we bet on the Olympics? I guess there's 4 of them. So let Cam know online on Twitter. Contact him as you usually do. I have to say that not that it was getting boring, because I was watching the figure skating last night. It's fantastic. I miss Tyler Cranston, though. Those who remember Tyler Cranston, the most critical human being alive who's ever been allowed on television. And fortunately, it was about figure skating, and mostly the criticisms came toward the Canadians. But I found him to be part of the show and almost like elevating it to an art form, and maybe not at that level now, although, you know, they're very kind now, which is okay. But I found myself missing Tyler Cranston, but I love the ice dance. Congratulations to the Canadian duo, and love seeing that all in on the Olympics. Pitchers and catchers have reported injuries galore. Chris Bassett signed with the Baltimore Orioles. He, of course, spent 2 or 3 years with the Toronto Blue Jays and was a big part of their drive to the World Series. He was one of the more effective pitchers they had in that lineup through the final games of the season. So he is off to Baltimore, where I think he's going to start because they've already got a pile of injuries. So it's 12-12. I'm wondering if we can backtrack, because Declan mentioned something earlier, which I think deserves to have a hearing, which is if the Italian team played. I want to make sure we've got it straight, because I thought it was 5-on-4. Or are we talking 5-on-3?
Well, so when I was talking to my friends earlier, we reckoned at 5-on-3, they could win the tournament. Like 5-on-3 for 60 minutes is a crazy advantage. And again, they didn't look bad on Sweden. So then we turned the conversation to 5-on-4. I thought maybe podium was in the question at 5-on-4 for an entire 60-minute game with the same rules as 5-on-5. Then one of my friends said they wouldn't beat anyone but France and Denmark. So I got kind of interested. I wanted to know what everyone else thought. But yes, the situation is it's 5-on-4, the Italian team, for 60 minutes.
And if they take a penalty, it's 4-on-4.
Yes.
And now help me on this one thing. Do they have a goaltender who's been touched by God?
Well, their goaltender was phenomenal in that Sweden game. He had like a 930, 46 saves, I think it was. It was actually, it would have been more than 40.
I'll be interested in seeing what people, I know how I feel, but I'd be interested in.
How do you feel? Where do you come out on it?
I don't think they beat, like, the 5-on-4 is great. And I'm talking out of my hat, because it's not like I've seen Italy play 11 times, and maybe they are this good. But I also think that when you're playing in front of the home crowd, you get a lot of adrenaline. But you know, Sweden is a hell of a team. There's no doubt about that. But that even with the rule change for the home team, I mean, I know it'll make a difference, but in my own mind, I just don't think they would medal. I think they'd get knocked out before the medal, before they were playing for a
Fair
medal.
take. What about 5-on-3?
No, the 5-on-3
That's
is a
too
big
much, right?
difference.
Yeah.
I mean, you're sort of flying blind because who's the best Italian skater?
Oh,
Dude, they don't have one NHL player on their roster.
yeah. It's not so. I mean, maybe I couldn't even tell you who their best skater is. Andrea Pirlo.
Okay, so
That was a soccer player.
I don't want to hog the conversation.
feet
I want to
and
hear
all
what
of them.
people think because I do think it's kind of an interesting one.
5-on-4. I think you're basically asking the opposing team to score every time it's 4-on-4 at that point. And then
You don't think they'd get a shorthanded goal?
I think they would get shorthanded goals, but they wouldn't get them at an amazing clip, I don't think.
But you're playing 5-on-4 with the third and fourth line for Italy too. You can't play your top line all the time.
Yeah, it's true.
Also, in this made-up scenario, I guess I didn't really factor in the fact that they may take a penalty and move it to 4-on-4, or
I
it could
didn't
be.
factor that
I
in
just
either.
thought it's 5-on-4 for 60 minutes of play. That was kind of the scenario I worked.
Well, I think Italy would take a lot of penalties because let's say against Canada,
Does
how many
anyone know
McDavid tripping
penalties
penalties
they
would
had
there
yesterday?
be?
They have so much. They would have so much possession time, and they would have so much sustained ozone time. Think about the long change in the second period.
I just think that these are not high, they're not elite level players.
No,
so
you're
when you
right.
say possession time, I think there'd be a lot of turnovers. And then, I'm just thinking about Canada in my mind because that's what I would think about. I just think there'd be a lot of fast breaks both ways. And I mean, it's an interesting scenario. It really is. And of course, who's worse, France or Italy? Well, are we talking hockey or government or wars? What are we doing here? I
Good
think
news. Same answer for all of them. France.
Well, no, I think food is like
Italian.
France. Well,
Whoa.
France is good.
Yeah, France is fine.
The wine, pretty good.
Actually, you know what? I'll give you wine on
Okay.
France.
All right.
What
And-
line should be Italy?
I mean, in terms of
I think people say that Côte de Rhône, that's French wine. People love the old Côte de Rhône.
oh yeah, no, the French wine's good.
It's good, really good.
No. Yeah, I think it's worth a conversation, but let's go with what we have. We have bagged milk coming up at 1:00. We have rumors on the way and 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. What's at 1:40 today? Are we going to flip it and talk basketball today?
We are.
Right.
Josh aptly pointed out. I don't know where my head was at that we missed Duncan with Declan yesterday. So today's going to be Duncan with Declan, jamming with Josh, setting pick and rolls with Mackenzie. Whatever. It's gonna be the NBA. And I want to talk about teams I think can actually make a push to make the championship.
Right. And maybe we could get into if what's the worst team in basketball right now?
It's a few in contention.
The Jazz are trying really
Okay.
hard
Jazz
to
are
beat
trying
the
except
Jazz-
for the Sacramento Kings.
The Jazz have a 1-player advantage for the entire playoffs. We'll talk about that. No, we won't. All
It
right.
has to be the Kings.
Rumors next. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
Zoinks! It's like a totally Great Dane Family Day Oil Kings game.
Monday afternoon, Edmonton looks to foil the schemes of the Lethbridge Hurricanes because it's Scooby-Doo Family Day at Rogers Place.
Your Oil Kings suit up in specialty jerseys right out of the mystery machine. They'll be auctioned and raffled off in support of the Edmonton Oil Kings Education Association.
And Calmont Kids food combos are just $10 or less. Jinkies, that's better value than a box of Scooby snacks.
Oil Kings Scooby-Doo Family Day game, Monday at 2.
Great seats at Rogers Place start at only $20 at oilkings.ca.
Made for some rough roads, but it means trails are now packed and ready for action. Don't miss out on riding adventures this winter with a Ski-Doo from Riverside Honda and Ski-Doo. Work or play with new 2026 Generation 5 models with class-leading design and power. And right now, take advantage of 5.99% financing OAC. Only at Riverside Honda and Ski-Doo. 15 Inglewood Drive in St. Albert. And always at riversidehonda.com. Shop local, shop Canadian.
Mr. Rooter gets a colonoscopy.
All right, Mr. Rooter, just relax. We're almost finished.
Now, what am I looking at on the screen?
That's your large intestine.
Wow, the pipes of the human body. Incredible. This is just like when we use a camera for sewer inspection, except you probably don't find tree roots.
You'd be surprised what we find.
You know, once I found a bunch of Hot Wheels.
Hey, me too.
For a plumber who values healthy pipes, call Mr. Rooter.
The Edmonton Firefighters Rooftop Campout for Muscular Dystrophy is February 18th to 20th. Edmonton firefighters are again braving the elements by camping on the roof of Fire Hall number 2. This year, they've added a little twist and will start the rooftop campout with no camping equipment. The more money they raise for muscular dystrophy, the more equipment they get to survive an Edmonton winter, with a final goal of getting off the roof and helping this incredible cause. Donate now at any Edmonton Fire Hall or online at edmontonrooftopcampout.ca.
You see it? Fusion Promo Marketing can make it. Fusion makes high-quality, memorable promotional products for businesses, sports teams, and corporate events. From vision to reality, get noticed and remembered. Fusion with a Z. Promomarketing.ca.
He's the only person to win an arm wrestling contest with the Philly Fanatic. The Lowdown with Lowetide, now on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 for Wolf GMC Buick. Family owned, community driven. We're making it easy. Visit wolfgmcbuick.com. 1221. Now, I know I've been saying that winter is over, but I was looking at the forecast recently, and I may have misspoken just a little bit, like by 1 week. There appears to be a cold snap coming, and my sincere apologies. I had read the Farmer's Almanac. My trick knee hadn't made any sort of, movements that I would associate with a cold snap, but apparently it could be happening soonish. It is time for Rumors, brought to you by Great Canadian Solar. We believe you should create your own electricity. Let's build a brighter, sustainable future with GreatCanadianSolar.com. We talked about it at the top of the show. Canada, men and women, winning in hockey. 5 Cobb for the women. They are off to the quarterfinals against Germany. The men just getting underway with a 5-0 win over Czechia. And Connor McDavid with 3 assists looked brilliant, passing the puck fantastically. Crosby and McDavid to McKinnon. I could watch that all day. And almost scored. And not to make it about McDavid, but his ice time was certainly, I think, a relaxed pace for McDavid, but he had a lot of impact on that game in Canada. Binnington with the shutout. Canada 1-0. I don't think anybody's surprised, but it was a fairly dominant effort, I would say, and a very physical effort. As Mackenzie said, the McDavid line with Celebrini and Wilson was physical and effective, and obviously filled the net. Now, not everything's positive for Canada in that way. Josh Morrissey left Canada's group stage win over Czechia and didn't return. And of course, Sanheim would slide in, but this is an ongoing problem. And one of the things we talked about, goaltending and defense maybe being the issues for Canada. So attrition possibly already beginning. The NHL not expecting to allow Russian participation in the 2028 World Cup. That's something that will. That is an interesting story to follow over the next 4 years, for lots of reasons. But I think that will be a fascinating thing to follow for Canadians and all sports fans over the next 4 years. The Montreal Canadiens likely to trade Patrick Laine after the Olympics. Laine's, his pure skill is there and obvious, but it is that's not an easy trade to make. Let's put it that way. I would suggest that's not an easy trade to make. There are 5 possible medals for Canada today, and on the ice and on the snow. And if anything breaks, we will have it for you immediately. Teams went off today. We also had Elliot Grondin winning a snowboard cross silver, and that's 2 Olympics in a row that he has won. Won the silver, and then Michael Kingsbury silver in moguls. So Canada is at 6 medals, 3 bronze and 3 silver, and in the top 10 in total medals, but looking for that first gold, and hopefully that happens in the days to come. One of the things that is happening in the NHL media right now are all kinds of trade rumors, and people are looking around for any spare parts that might be available. One name that comes up is possibly for the Oilers, maybe to get some input on Claude Giroux. Long in the tooth. I mean, I think he's 75 years old now. But
can I ask you this?
Yes.
Are you bringing in Claude Giroux for, a potential leadership fit, a voice in the locker room, or are you bringing him for his on-ice play this season?
I think what you're doing is you are looking at the list of players who are available that you'd like to, have as a veteran presence, and he's had, a long career, and who can help offensively. He got 39 points in 57 games.
No, he's not. His offensive numbers are fine,
right?
But to me, Claude Giroux is such it's the exact archetype of player they think they need until he gets here. And I feel like it doesn't work out.
Well, yeah, I totally agree with you. But the problem is that when the LA Kings were looking to acquire a winger, either he didn't want to come here or the Oilers didn't have the torque to make it happen. One of the two. And so you've got to shop where the aisles that you're able to in terms of cap and in terms of ask. Oilers don't have that much, right? So to me, Giroux is a guy who you could probably look at and go, hey, you know what? This is a player we might be able to get on our team. He's right-handed. There's some possibility that he can help the second power play. He can certainly play, in a couple of different areas of the roster. So from that point of view, I don't think you're going to go get a Matthias Ekholm type.
Yeah.
They just don't have the money. They don't have the money, and they don't have the assets.
No, I couldn't agree more. So are you saying Claude Giroux is I'm
not saying he's nothing. I'm just saying that he's probably affordable for the Oilers, and he could come in and, his face-off percentage would be, a massive 64% this year. He's really good at face-off, so he could help there. There's some areas that he could help you.
So he's your 3C, and then
a 3C or
he's
a 3C, or he could slide up. I mean, he's got some utility, right? Basically you need Nuge in 2 spots, the number 1 left wing and the number 3 center. If you had Giroux, that would give you the coach more options. He could slide people around. If Nuge is playing 3C, then maybe he moves puck Folson up, and Giroux might play on the line with Leon or whatever, right? Or maybe he plays on a third line with Nuge. I'm not sure how it would go, but I think that's a guy who might be in the conversation that could be affordable.
You know who's not in the conversation? Boone Jenner.
Yeah, no, they're signing both of them actually, right? Yeah, that's too bad. For me, I think that I wrote about it and I've talked about it. I would keep the powder dry. I would. The Oilers really don't have a lot of money. Now, if you can trade Mangiapane, that's great. And you have a 2027 first that you can deal. And I have no quarrel with them doing that. But the quarrel I do have is if you trade a 2027 first for a player that you think you can help you, and then you re-sign him to a long-term deal in the summer, then he can't be 33. They can't get any older. There's a tipping point for an organization, any organization, where you get too old, too slow, too expensive, and you don't have enough room to wheel because you have so many no-movement clauses. And the Oilers are not far from there. How many bottom 6 forwards do they have on this team that are making big point, are veterans, have somewhat of a no trade or no movement clause? It's more than 2 or 3. And so they've got to get away from that, not add to it. But I think Giroux is he's an interesting name, put it that way. And I do think it's somebody who is somewhat, reasonably affordable as opposed to the very talented new Los Angeles Kings player. You have any thoughts on that, Josh?
No, the only thought I really have on it is if they do acquire him, whatever, it's Roslovic that moves up to that top line. If Nuge moves down to 3C, I think I'm going to stay very stuck.
Roslovic has not been able to outscore as a third line center, so I think that's fine. And I don't think the Oilers particularly need a big physical guy on the McDavid or the Draisaitl line.
No, because
so I don't have a problem with that.
They have guys to do that. I would never touch the Draisaitl line with a 39.5-foot pole.
Well, Podkolzin has moved up and down a little bit recently.
Which is, it's arguably, I mean,
they're playing well.
Right? I know how
good,
how productive the top line is with McDavid,
but they were a little bit off in the days leading up to the deadline or to
their second line is their best line.
Yeah, it has been for sure. One of the reasons why I wouldn't mind adding somebody like Giroux is it gives you a right-handed guy, maybe for the power play, but maybe you'll use the second power play a little bit more, and it might give a little bit of a different look for the McDavid line if they were to use it up there. As you mentioned, Roslovic is also available. Are we still in on signing Roslovic long term? Is that something you'd like to see?
I'm still in on signing. I think they put him in a spot where he's not producing right now. I think you move him back to a spot where he was producing with a Draisaitl or a McDavid, then he'll be worth the money that I think we all basically unanimously agreed is right around that $3.5 to $4 million range.
Here's what I hate.
But he'll get a no move clause.
Here's what I hate. And they do it all the time. So the Oilers, they bring in a guy, and he lands on the McDavid line, and then he fills the net because you can't not fill the net when you're on the McDavid line. And then they go, holy mackerel, this guy can score. He does this and this and this. And we're going to sign him to this amount, and it's going to be long term and a lot of money. So there is a legion of wingers and former NHL wingers who have been gifted fantastic paydays because they spent a few months on a McDavid line. And that's what I thought they were going to do with Ike Howard is, we've got Ike Howard. He's under control. He's an entry-level contract. There's 3 years here where we do not have to pay this guy the major torque. We can put him on a line with Draisaitl and McDavid, and he can fill the net, and we can just love him all up, but we do not have to pay him extra money. That's why I object to the idea that you add a winger, you put him on the McDavid line, and then you go, well, he's too valuable to let go. Okay, but a lot of people score on McDavid's line or on Draisaitl's line. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why everybody goes, well, Roslovic can't do anything on the third line. That's true.
This is Hal's way of calling me, a professional way of calling me dumb.
No, I'm not. No, what I'm saying, you brought it up. You brought it up. You brought it up, and I agree with you. I think Roslovic is better on the top lines. But my concern is, I'm not calling you dumb. Oh, okay. I've watched this happen, and sometimes, like with Chiarelli, he didn't even bother to tease it. He just signed Lucic, which is even worse.
It's.
Yes.
Well, I want to push back on that point that everyone's always better on the top line. Like, the reality is some guys get there. The game, like what they can do physically, even if their IQ is there, what they can do physically doesn't always match up with how Leon and Connor play the game on that top line. And they can't compete. Like, I don't know I don't want to throw anyone on the bus as a specific example, but like, boy, would comes to mind. I'm just saying, like,
well, Savoy's a rookie though. Like, I mean, you can't say this year is
Howard.
But Howard has done extremely well with Leon, but it's like in 10 minutes.
Would you agree? Like, there's kind of a sentiment that just everyone can play with Leon and Connor, and that's not always the case because they do things that not everyone can keep up with, and they think the game in a certain way that other players aren't able to play
I would say that most of the skill forwards on the Oilers can play successfully with McDavid or Draisaitl. Now, Savoy is a great example that you brought up because his numbers with both, and he's played significantly with both Draisaitl and McDavid, are not. They're not terrible. They're like 1.45 points per 60. But Howard is an example. Hasn't been tried for like 11 minutes or something with Leon, but he's got 2 points. So my point is, I thought what they were doing with Howard was bring him in, play him a little bit on the third line or second line, get him coached up a little, and then see what he can do. Because if he can score on a skill line, and he's making, even with bonuses, $1.5 million this year, next year, and the following year, you've got yourself a value contract, and then you don't have to sign, as of, for instance, Jack Ross. But I mean, Ty Ratty played well with McDavid. If you give somebody 200 minutes with McDavid, like if you give, even though he's a young guy, he's 21 and he's raw defensively, and I get that, but based on his scoring in the AHL and his outscoring in the AHL, if you were to give Ike Howard an opportunity, a 200-minute opportunity with McDavid, I'm absolutely certain he would score well enough to stay in the lineup. Outscoring, I agree, that's a different thing. And I think that speaks to what you were talking about in terms of maybe not being able to play with him. But I think the Oilers have spent a lot of Daryl Cates' money rewarding wingers like Zach Kassian, who ended up on the McDavid line, where it's pretty easy to score. And then when they check down to another line, because lines need freshening, then there's not a lot there. There's not a lot of torque there. And that's one of the reasons why the third and fourth lines are not fabulous. JMO, but that's how I feel. All right, we'll take a break. More Oilers talk, more Olympics talk, and maybe we'll get into baseball a little bit here. It's Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
60 years ago, we started selling trucks as Western GMC Buick. Today, we are Wolf GMC Buick. We're still located on the corner of 184th Street and Stony Plain Road with the same ownership for over 2 decades. Our customers have trusted our family-owned, community-driven business, and for that, we are thankful. If you're looking for a truck or SUV, pop in and one of our seasoned professionals will get you a great deal, hassle-free. Come trust our team at Wolf GMC Buick. Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Come for Canada's largest trade shows, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. And stay for the experience at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Looking for the perfect place to host your next big event? From trade shows to galas, meetings, and concerts, the Edmonton Expo Centre has the space, event expertise, and service to make your next event unforgettable. With over 522,000 square feet of flexible event space, in-house catering, and operational expertise, they bring your biggest vision to life. Learn more at EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
Game Sports 1440 is your front row seat to the wild world of sports. Local legends, national headlines, and everything in between. Your game, your station. This is Sports 1440.
McValue breakfast meals are $5 plus tax every day. Get a sausage McMuffin, bagel with cream cheese product, or a breakfast burrito with hash brown and small coffee, all for just $5 plus taxes. Available until 11 a.m. at Canadian restaurants. Product availability varies. Prices exclude delivery.
If you manage or lead a team, join your peers April 14th to 17th at the Banff Management Course. PA Douglas Training invites you to 3 days of immersive leadership development in beautiful Banff, Alberta. Learn how to manage conflict, motivate and influence others, strengthen teamwork, and improve productivity. Proudly Canadian, PA Douglas has trained over 150,000 professionals. Registration includes 3 nights at the Banff Springs Hotel, breakfast, select meals, refreshments, and course materials. Register now at padouglas.ca.
Invest for today and tomorrow. Vision Credit Union makes it simple with 2 RRSP options to fit your goals. Choose a secure term deposit RRSP with guaranteed returns or a mutual fund RRSP offering higher growth potential with exciting opportunities. With an RRSP, you'll save on your income tax, grow your investments tax-free, and get closer to your dreams. Whether it's retirement or your first home, the deadline to qualify for 2025 tax deductions is March 2nd. Learn more at visioncu.ca.
Never. He's the only person to win an arm wrestling contest with the Philly Fanatic. The Lowdown with Lowetide now on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
Tide on Sports 1440 at 12:39. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you. Northside Lou. Fogel flopped there. I don't know that Fogel flopped there. They couldn't afford to re-sign him because he was getting expensive, and I like that. That's what I like. I like when the Oilers get a guy and they have him at $2.7 million, and he plays really well and well enough to earn 4.3 times 4, and then you have to let somebody else do that. You can't do it. And then you also have to stop signing guys who are like 32 to deals that involve no movement clauses, and certainly they just have to be 1 year. Corey Perry's 1-year deals work really well. Not so much Jeff Skinner, so far Andrew Mangiapane, and certainly we have raised a Spockian eyebrow, as Dave Jameson used to say, and may still, in regard to the Trent Frederick contract. I think Howard is trade bait. I would agree with that. I think it's a very fair assessment. The general manager made several moves over the summer, if you recall, signing Frederick, bringing in Mangiapane, and trading for Isaac Skinner. Trading for Ike Howard, and it didn't work out. It hasn't worked out at all. And that's why I think that the GM and the coach really have to get together this summer. And if you're going to sign a guy, or even at the deadline, if you're going to trade for a guy, there's just no use signing a guy or trading for a guy if the coach isn't going to play him. In the case of Howard, he's had a couple of looks here, not really any time with the skill lines. So when they sent him down the first time, I thought, okay, that's fine, because you know what, he can use AHL experience, but he dominated down there. And then when they brought him back, he really didn't play with McDavid or Draisaitl. So if he's not going to play with McDavid or Draisaitl, then the general manager acquired a pure scorer who is either plays in the top 6 or probably doesn't play much in the NHL. And the coach has decided he can't play in the top 6 because when they brought him back, he really didn't play there. So that's a disconnect between the general manager and the coach, as I see it. You may disagree. But with all of that said, hell, boys, you got to trade Ike Howard before his value goes down. Right now, he leads by some margin, the rookie scorers in the AHL. And he is the highest scoring per game scorer among rookies for Oilers prospects since Miro Shatan in 1994-95 when he played for the Cape Breton Oilers. So that's like about 30 years ago. They had somebody dominating the AHL as a flat-out of-the-box rookie like Ike Howard has. This is a real player. I know he has deficiencies. I know that there's a sense of, well, he's got to get to the tough areas, and his shot can be stopped from the high slot. All of that. He's got a quick release. We've seen it on his goals. And when you bring a guy in like that, you either have to use him or you have to send him out, because in the summertime, they're going to look at him, opposition GMs are going to say, yeah, he played 23 games, scored a couple of goals, doesn't sound like much to me. And he's played like 10 minutes with Draisaitl and maybe 20 with McDavid. He really hasn't, when you hire somebody, you have to put him in a position to succeed. And I would argue, respectfully, the Edmonton Oilers have not done that with Ike Howard. Coach Knobloch appears to have a bias against forwards who are sub 6 feet tall. Well, I do think there's a finite number you can have who are like not necessarily undersized, because we've seen lots of guys who aren't 6 feet tall who are dynamite players in terms of physicality and aggression. Young Josh there had back in the olden days, the Flames had a guy named Theo Fleury, who I don't think was 5'11", and he was like the Tasmanian devil. So it's not necessarily size; it's the style, right? And Nuge is not like, I love Nuge, but he's not a terribly physical player. Hyman is an aggressive player. McDavid can hit. Like I'm always pushing back on people who say things like, "Well, McDavid needs to be sheltered," or this has to be somebody physical playing with McDavid. I mean, you saw in the Olympics today, McDavid engages, McDavid hits, he cross checks. He's. I'm not saying he's filthy, but he's a little bit. Not Leon level, but he's got that in his game. So the Oilers can have some finesse types, and I would call Ryan Nugent-Hopkins that. But you can't have too many of them. And you also have, like, Savoy, he's a rookie, and he gets physically dominated sometimes in battles, and you can't have too many of those for sure, right? So I'd say there's a finite number, and I would also say that all coaches are risk averse. Craig McTavish 20 years ago was doing many similar things. The Oilers were all over guys like Yanni Rita and Rob Schremp, and McTavish gave them small additions, but he found players who could play the style he wanted to play, which was a brilliant 5-on-5 play. Like the Oilers at at even strength back then, the Oilers were just exceptionally good. They weren't fabulous on the power play, but 5-on-5, they could beat you, and they did in 2006. They went all the way to the Stanley Cup final. Guys like Fernando Pisani, real smart player, like having a coach on the ice. And Marty Reisner and those cats, they played the style that McTavish was comfortable with, and it was very much the style that he played when he was a player, and it worked very well. And I think that's what Chris Knobloch probably would like. And so if that's the case, then Stan Bowman is more likely to succeed with Knobloch as his coach if he goes out and gets more Vasily Podkolzins and fewer Ike Howards. And that's not a shot at Ike Howard. I think he's going to be a fine player in the National Hockey League. It just might not be here with the Edmonton Oilers. And just to linger a little bit, the Edmonton Oilers have enough skill to be able to overcome that, right? So that's they have McDavid and Draisaitl, so they're unique in that they can coach up a Podkolzin who could end up scoring 20 goals, right? He can post enough offense at 5-on-5 to be very valuable. That's why I love that contract. It's already signed, and I suggest they probably want that from Mike Howard. They just want another level at a couple of areas. He's never going to be physical like Podkolzin. And here's a little bit of news. Kasperi Kapanen might be another Podkolzin on the other side with Leon, the way they're playing now. If you could come into every year and have those two caliber players the way they're playing now and pay them less than $5 million, I mean, that's music. You would do that all day. Hard to do, but Bowman did it. And I think Ike Howard might be square peg round hole, but that doesn't mean Ike Howard isn't a good player. And back to the long-winded answer to the question, yes, I think that Ike Howard could be trade bait. He may not fit here. They may have made their call on him. It happens a lot, even early. If you have something of value in your National Hockey League team and you don't value it as much as the market does, then that's the time to trade the asset, because in your own mind that is an asset that's not going to be worth more than it is right now, say like a year from now. So that's important stuff. Very important to keep that in mind if you're the Edmonton Oilers. And at the deadline would be the ideal time. I questioned the Oilers when they dealt for Howard. I felt O'Reilly was more of a Hyman-esque player, and I would rather have that on my team than Howard. Well, I understand what you're saying, and I do agree with you. I think O'Reilly is going to be a really good third-line center and maybe even a middle six center, right? But that wasn't what Stan Bowman was trying to do, in fairness to Bowman. Remember, Bowman was trying to hurry up the development timeline, much like Peter Chiarelli did when he traded all those picks for Griffin Reinhart. So Bowman saw an opportunity where a player did not want to sign with the Tampa Bay Lightning. He knew he was close to NHL ready, so he was willing to surrender O'Reilly, a young right-handed center prospect in the OHL, for immediate help or close to immediate help with young Ike Howard. And now they have their answer, just like they did with Griffin Reinhart. Unless they're going to play Ike Howard, this is the time to trade him. So I would agree with you that if they had O'Reilly here, chances are O'Reilly would be a better fit with what Chris Knobloch wants to do. But I also think that Bowman did it so he could hurry up the timeline. And now people are calling Knobloch names. I don't think that's fair. He's taken the team to 2 Stanley Cup finals, and you have to respect that. You also, if you're the general manager, you have to, your job is to provide the coach players that he can use. And I think that when Jeff Jackson was the coach or the general manager, this team signed a lot of players who were found wanting, for lack of a better phrase. And then this summer, when Stan Bowman went to market, I think he found some players who were found wanting. Now, some of that is because Trent Frederick isn't or wasn't completely healthy. Frederick should be a player that fits into Knobloch's system. And Knobloch tried. Remember, opening night, as I recall, the top line was McDavid, Draisaitl, Trent Frederick. Didn't work out. I don't think Frederick's a top line guy, but I think he could be a middle six winger when he's completely healthy and playing at a confident level. I'm reading, so it's taking a minute. With decreased ice time, McDavid's points per 60 would likely be ridiculous. Are we talking about Olympics? Because it's going to be ridiculous for sure. He didn't play much and he had 3 assists today. But I've never felt that the whole ice time argument, I don't buy at all. The third and fourth lines are playing enough. 22 minutes divided between the third and fourth lines. We've been over this before, but McDavid and Draisaitl play a lot at 5-on-5, but there's still 22 minutes, 11 each or 13-9, however you want to split that out. There's lots of minutes for the third and fourth line on this team. It's just that they're no damn good at it. Like you have a it's like going to a rock and roll show, right? And there's 2 great headliners. You're going to see Deep Purple and the Grateful Dead. Like this is going to be a monumental, memorable, hippie, freakoid, heavy rock concert you're going to love. It's at the Kinsman Fieldhouse. The ticket's $450. You bought it. You've taken a photo of it. You're going to remember it forever. You're hoping that you can slide in without them taking the ticket stub apart because you want to save it forever. But the opening act is Josh and I doing, songs that we've learned on the accordion. And then the follow-up act is Declan and Mackenzie juggling. Like, that's not good enough. And that's where the Oilers are right now. Their third and fourth lines aren't good enough. And they're veterans, and they're signed, and they have no movement clauses. Listen, and some of them are hurt, but it's not good enough. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't. I thought you were done. Because I had a joke. I was going to say, listen, talk about your own act. Me and Mackenzie have the juggling thing down. But instead, I ruined what was a beautiful monologue. And I'm embarrassed. Honestly, I'm embarrassed. I wish I wasn't talking right now.
Look,
I timed it. I think I have a good sense of timing. I missed that one so badly.
Declan?
And I'm sorry.
How many times in a show do I interrupt you? 1,100?
Yeah, but it's also your show, so it's a little bit more acceptable.
No, not at all.
I'm seriously, people aren't even going to think twice about this. Like, you guys are all going to forget about it the second we go to break. I'm sitting here embarrassed right now. I want everyone to know I'm embarrassed, and I feel bad.
Well, don't. That's what I love about this show is that anybody can come over the top anytime. So that's what makes it good. Somebody is in here saying something about Frederick and health. Like, he is getting better, right? Like, do you remember Connor Brown when he first came here and he had signed that deal and he was really not great for a long time. And then he started maybe February, March. He scored a goal that was called back and it was kind of sad. But then he started, playing better. And by the playoffs, he was brilliant on the penalty kill with Matthias Janmark, as I recall. And then the following year, he was great. And then they couldn't sign him. And I'm okay with not signing guys to big contracts. I'm okay with that. All right. Is it just me, or have I been talking a lot over the last 15 minutes?
Yeah, but it's been good.
I don't know.
It's been great content.
Says you.
I wasn't listening, but I'm sure it was awesome. I wanted to ask you this. The Connor Brown, Trent Frederick comparisons, obviously Connor Brown, I know we got to go to break here right away. I know Connor Brown turned it up in the playoffs. Like you said, that penalty kill with him and Matthias Janmark, it felt like you could almost like pencil them in for a shorthanded goal once every 2 games. It was awesome.
It was.
But like the long term, like the different, there weren't as many eggs in Connor Brown's basket. Like the fact there is such a long-term investment in Trent Frederick, like that has to be giving everyone so much more pause, I would think.
Right. Oh, for sure. And it's got to work out. Like, because, I was told that every year that you trade, like, I'm going to trade you, Trent Frederick, and there's 7 more years left. Every year is like a first round pick. I can't give you 7 first round picks. So that's an untradeable contract. By the way, Ear Candy says, are you juggling chainsaws? Did we want to speak to that?
I mean, I could.
But they wouldn't have been started up,
No,
right? No, they would have
definitely not.
That would be too dangerous.
I just also wanted to say with like the Frederick thing too, because it is like, I think they were trying to do what they didn't with Connor Brown, if that makes sense, because he got too expensive, so they couldn't re-sign him.
Right. That's a good
So
point.
they
Okay.
were kind of like, Stan Bowman was kind of like, you know what? This is a Connor Brown type player. If he can give us just a fraction of what Connor Brown did, Frederick, then we have this guy locked up basically for the next 4 years, right?
Mhm. Yeah, well, it's 8-year contract,
8 years,
so
yeah.
7 more after this one. Yeah.
Then on that second half, it becomes like a little bit more tradable and stuff. So I think that's kind of what they were looking to do. And I agree, like the last couple weeks before the Olympic break, he was starting to turn a corner. And if anything, the Olympic break will help him a little bit more as well.
Yeah, I'm like, full disclosure, I'm a big Trent Frederick fan. I'm a Bruins fan, so I watch the Bruins all the time. And like the Frederick that you Oilers fans were supposed to get is a guy you'd love. I mean, he's perfectly built for the Edmonton Oilers. When he's playing with the Bruins, he could score a little, 15 goals or so, can agitate, get people off their game, kind of irritating, physical. That's the Trent Frederick I know. We haven't really seen him yet, but I think he's getting closer, as Mackenzie says. Okay. I'm sorry?
No, I was just going to say, that's what I was going to say. Like at some point, though, you got to stop living off of what the player was. And you talk about the potential of what he's going to be when he's fully healed from injury. But at some point, it has to be the here and now. Like he's not in Boston anymore. He's here and he is.
Oh, the perfect
4
example.
points in 58 games or whatever it is.
That's crazy. A perfect example of that is the host of this show. How
In what
long can
capacity?
you live off the past? I mean, that just gets a little ridiculous. All right. On the way, declinations. We'll talk basketball at 1:40 today. Bag milk from Oilers Nation straight ahead. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube. Time for an update with Declan Krueger.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Men's short track 1,000 meters speed skating quarterfinal. William Danjinu, Felix Russell will both be in the final. Women's short track 500 meters speed skating quarterfinal. Kim Boutin, Courtney Sorrelt, and Florence Burnell will all be in tomorrow's final as well. Men's snowboard cross was also completed this morning. Elliot Grondin taking the silver in a photo finish. Canada's men's hockey team beat Czechia 5-0. They take on Switzerland tomorrow at 5:10 p.m. Connor Hellebuck will be getting the start in the United States opening tournament today against Latvia. That game is today at 5. 3 games in the association. Milwaukee and OKC tip off at 5:30. Portland is in Utah, and the Mavs and Lakers have the late slate. Off the court, Utah Jazz center Jaren Jackson Jr. is out for the season. I'm Mackenzie, and that's your Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Hey, Edmonton, did you know a local Play Alberta winner scored over $500,000 on Mega Jackpots Ocean Bells? Think about the season tickets you could lock down with that kind of cash. From major casino winners every hour to jackpots worth millions and hundreds of popular games to money that stays in the province, there's never been a better time to sign up for Play Alberta. Download the app today to get started with casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Must be 18 plus to play. When you gamble, use your game sense.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Saturday, it's a Valentine's Day celebration of the footwear with its own loyal fandom. Don't miss the Edmonton Oil Kings Rogers Place Crop Party.
Slide into your most romantic winter Crocs and watch your Oil Kings take a bite out of the Calgary Hitman.
Catch Oil Kings gibbets, giveaways, and an endless parade of the shoe that everyone agrees on.
And take a bite out of Calmont Kids food combos for $10 or less. The value is alligator sized.
The Edmonton Oil Kings Croc Party and the Battle of Alberta, WHL style, 7 p.m. Saturday.
Great seats at Rogers Place start at only $20 at oilkings.ca.
This hockey season, before every game, check out the pregame show with Andrew Walker on Sports 1440. It's brought to you by Titan Supply, your only source for rigging, lifting, and hauling products. Visit titansupply.ca.
The Edmonton Firefighters Rooftop Campout for Muscular Dystrophy is February 18th to 20th. Edmonton firefighters are again braving the elements by camping on the roof of Fire Hall number 2. This year, they've added a little twist and will start the rooftop campout with no camping equipment. The more money they raise for muscular dystrophy, the more equipment they get to survive an Edmonton winter, with a final goal of getting off the roof and helping this incredible cause. Donate now at any Edmonton Fire Hall or online at edmontonrooftopcampout.ca.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV, and even though it's a few months past Thanksgiving, I want to give thanks right now. This is the time of year when so many people go to the new RV show and buy their new RVs.
All the new RV stores are bragging about the latest makes and models.
That's right, Bob. Those beautiful state-of-the-art RVs are brand new right up until the time they leave the showroom. Then they're used. Just like every quality used RV on our lot. Somebody pays full price at the RV show or at the new RV store, and in a matter of seconds, it's worth tens of thousands of dollars less just because they picked it up.
Where does all that money go, Rick?
It stays in our customers' pockets, Bob, because we sell those same RVs just a few years later. If it wasn't for new RV buyers, we'd be out of business. That's why we give thanks every year. You make it all possible.
And that's No Bull.
NoBullRV.ca.
You need the lowdown? It's with Lowetide right now on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
Tide on Sports 1440, 101. And there is a little winter on the way, and I apologize for that. I jumped the gun again on winter, but that's okay. We are now joined by our friend Bagged Milk from Oilers Nation. How are you, Mr. Milk?
I'm doing well. I mean, woke up early, watched the boys do their thing. What's not to like about a Thursday like this?
So did you watch at work, or did you have breakfast in bed and watch it for the big giant television at the end of your bed?
Well, I did pretend to work. I mean, if you're my bosses, don't listen to that right now. I was pretending to work. I had my laptop out. I had my emails open, but I had my TV there. I sat in a couple of meetings, one earphone in, one earphone out. You got to do what you got to do. With Olympic hockey, we've waited so long for NHLers to be back, so I had to do what I had to do.
The last game I saw that didn't involve the Oilers was a Vancouver Canucks game, and man, this was better than the Canucks, I got to say. The Canadian Olympic team is better than the Canucks. I think they'd win.
Yeah, I think, you know what, I think they'd win too. If some of these kids really stick with it, Al, I think they got a future in hockey, you know? They're pretty good at this.
McDavid, 3 assists. He also drew a penalty. He had a big hit. He almost scored at least a couple of times. I can only imagine how much adrenaline was going through him, being robbed of the opportunity to play at the, 18 and 22 Olympics. That was a splendid display from a guy who probably had a lot of extra adrenaline, nervous energy waiting so long for his Olympic debut.
Yeah, he came out shot out like out of a cannon, didn't he? He hit it, he said 1,000 miles an hour, and that big hit earlier in the game, it really kind of set the tone. And I'm paraphrasing his quote, but it was kind of something like, when you pull on that Canadian jersey, all systems are go. And you saw it from Connor today. Dostal robbed him a couple of times near the net there. Probably could have had a goal or two to go along with the 3 assists. So just another masterclass from McDavid in the opener. Obviously, the tournament's going to get a little bit tougher as we go through the early rounds and into the elimination rounds. But great start for Canada today. Jordan Binnington also looked fantastic. So I feel like I need to recognize that, because I was one of the people that went, well, I'd probably go Logan Thompson over Binnington. But, you start the tournament with the shutout and you tip your cap to it. So I just thought Canada played really, really well today, even though the first period looked a little bit closer than it probably was on the scoreboard. Super impressive result in the first game of the tournament.
I loved the Crosby to McDavid to McKinnon play for the goal. I'm just wondering what Stan Bowman is doing. I mean, he should have a trade for Crosby and McKinnon for the Oilers by now, right? Like, get that line together.
Yeah, you'd think so. I mean, that trio seems to work pretty well together. I think you've got 3 smart players. And then again, if they really stick with it, all 3 of those kids might make it in this league. But yeah, they were so much fun to watch. It's watching almost hockey at a higher IQ when those 3 are working together. They're so talented and skilled and just have a mastery of the game. So really, really fun to watch those 3 play together.
Bagnelk, our guest on Sports 1440 in the Lowdown with Lowetide. Bagnelk from Oilers Nation. I think sometimes we overlook, because we watch the Oilers all the time, the appeal for, cheering for Connor McDavid. A lot of fans from across the country who cheer naturally for different NHL teams, like the Maple Leafs and the Canadiens, and the Flames are still in the NHL. Those fans are getting a chance to cheer for Connor McDavid, and it's rare. 4 Nations and now, basically, and the comments I'm reading online are, man, it's such a fun feeling to be able to cheer for McDavid. Oiler fans get to do that every game.
Yeah, it is really super exciting. I got to tell you, a different angle too. That Mitch Marner guy looks real good with a maple leaf on his chest, doesn't he? I don't know why you want to let a guy like that go.
Oh, that play he made to Stone was just ridiculous, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was just such a pretty play. And that's the interesting thing about this Canadian team is lines 1 through 4. There is plenty of skill on this team, and anybody can make a play. But yeah, just really, really nice execution on some of the goals today. Really fun to watch.
Let me ask you, I know that they're running dailies over there on Daily Face Off and Oilers Nation with in regard to trade rumors, and I've been reading everything I can find on what might be happening. There's a lot of conjecture, a lot of rumors, and a lot of people just blue skying things. One of the names that has popped up recently is Claude Giroux, who might not cost as much as Panarin or whatever. It may be in the wheelhouse for the Oilers. Do you have a preference, or do you have a name that maybe you'd like to see at least discussed in regard to the Edmonton Oilers at the deadline?
I hadn't heard the name Claude Giroux, but it's intriguing to me outside of, I'm just learning now as we're speaking that he's 38. He might be a kind of guy that would come in with some experience. Obviously, he still is scoring goals. He's got 11 in 57 games this year. Intriguing name, given his NHL history and just his body of work. But I still keep coming back to the idea of a Ryan O'Reilly type. I just think that he's such a two-way player. Now, I know that name specifically is kind of the one that I always bring up, but if it's not him, somebody that's got that two-way ability, a little bit of sandpaper, and can score some goals. I'd love the idea of upgrading the 3C position. And then I think the other one I've mentioned a couple times on your program, Al, is, again, I know he's under contract, so it's not likely to happen or probably not going to happen, but a player like a Brett Pesce, who I think would be a really solidify the right side in the top four. You can play a two-way game, strong on the puck. I would love to have that kind of guy. So while I can't come up with a specific free agent or trade target, those are the two types of players I would love to see the Oilers look for, as a Ryan O'Reilly or a Brett Pesce type.
I think it's 4 years in a row that I've somehow worked Artem Zub into an article or conversation, because I would just love to see him here. He's not coming. Ottawa is not crazy. He's a wonderful player for them. But that's a player who, if the Oilers were to get him, their top four defense would be like golden, truly golden. And I do think that Pesce is another example of that, player who could really help the Edmonton Oilers in a spot where they absolutely need some help on that second pairing. So scale of 1 to 10, Would you say that the new goalie tandem of Tristan Jarry and Connor Ingram is superior to the previous Stuart Skinner-Calvin Pickard combination? Pickard's agent, said there's not a lot of difference. There's no clear improvement in regard to Pickard and the folks who are tending goal now. The numbers are they're within range of each other. I will tell you, Bag Milk, I feel more comfortable going to the beer fridge and picking up a beer when Connor Ingram is in goal. But that's just a personal taste thing, right? Like that's not really a learned opinion. That's just how a feeling opinion. What's your take? 1 to 10, 5 being about equal, 1 being no, they went backwards, and 10 being a home run improvement in terms of the goalie shuffle by Stan Bowman.
So I'm trying to think of as you're talking, I'm trying to think of the problem as just the parts of the equation. So I think that Skinner and Jarry is pretty even. I think that one kind of saws itself off. However, I do give Pittsburgh the upside on the trade because they also got a draft pick and Brett Kulak. But in terms of the two goalies, if we take out the contracts, etc., I think those two are pretty equal. I think any given night, one can be better than the other. And I think that we've seen that with the results on both of their respective new clubs. Now, for the backup position, as much as I love Calvin Pickard and I appreciate the wins in the playoffs and the 8 straight last year and the way he stepped in and kind of saved the day multiple times on their back-to-back runs to the Stanley Cup final, I do think Connor Ingram has a higher upside.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know anything that happens in the room. Obviously, we know that Pickard was a beloved teammate for the boys. Leon Draisaitl said as much after the waivers. But I think if we're comparing apples to apples, there's more apples on Connor Ingram's end of the table than there is with Calvin Pickard.
Would you be shocked to your shoes if he started more than one playoff game?
Not at all. I think that with this team, they've shown in the past, the last 2 seasons, that they will play the hot hand. I mean, even when Stuart Skinner was getting a reset in the playoffs, it wasn't like Calvin Pickard came in and played one and then he went right back to Stu. Specifically last year, I know that there was some injury concerns with Stu when Olivier Rodrigue was backing up, but Calvin Pickard went on a run until he himself got injured against Vegas. So I won't be surprised at all. I think that the ideal scenario would be that you run with the horse that you traded for in Tristan Jarry. But if that doesn't work out, it is nice to know that you have Connor Ingram behind him and who has shown, outside of a couple of appearances here and there that I would blame mostly on the skaters in front of him, that he's more than capable of giving the Oilers winning hockey. So I wouldn't be surprised at all. I think that, in fact, I would say it's more likely than not that he plays at least a game.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
In the playoffs.
Bag Milk, our guest on Sports 1440 in the Lowdown with Lowetide. Bag Milk from Oilers Nation. Talk today, we were just, blue skying it with Ike Howard, whether or not he'd get a recall or another opportunity here. And if there was an ask for a specific player and a significant player in trade at the deadline, if Ike Howard was part of the ask, is that something you think that Stan Bowman would be willing to surrender?
Ooh, that's a good question. My first reaction when you say it is I'd prefer not to trade a prospect like that in a move, unless it's like a very last ditch effort to get the trade done. I just think that, they moved Sam O'Reilly to get Ike Howard because his development was probably a year or two further along. And I don't know that you really necessarily want to go backwards on a rental unless you can get somebody that's got a bunch of term on the back end, then it makes more sense to me. But I think that that's a prospect that's really showing, to take a term from you, some positive arrows in the AHL. And man, I would really be disappointed to see him go unless the trade was an absolute knockout.
Yeah, and I ran the numbers, and the last time the Oilers had a rookie scoring at this rate, points per game, was Miro Shatan in 94-95 for the Cape Breton Oilers. So it's been a long, long time. And I think that kind of talent, you've made the trade, you might as well take advantage of it and play him. And I suspect they will, if not this year, then he'd be part of the team next year. For you, how much are you and Frank watching the Olympics, all of it, the snowboarding, the figure skating, the whatever else you like to enjoy? Have you taken in much of it, or you're just too darn busy?
At the Castle Milk, it is on all day. I watch the replays. I watch when it's live when I'm able. If I don't have anything going on that requires my 100% focus, I am watching the Olympics, the speed skating, the snowboard big air, the cross-country skiing marathons I've been watching. I've just been enjoying it so much. I don't get an opportunity to watch a lot of these sports very often, and to see athletes do it at the highest level and competing for their countries, I'm always super into the Winter Olympics. I mean, there's sports I don't understand how they work. There's sports that I feel like I think I could maybe do that. Maybe I could be the third person in the 4-man bobsled and I could sit there. But it's just so much fun to watch these athletes competing for their country. And I love all of the sports that I've watched so far. Some of them, like I said, I don't understand, but it's just so much fun. And the drone footage, while I understand it's a little bit annoying to hear that rearing sound on the broadcast, some of the footage that they're getting from those drones, specifically in events like, the downhill skiing and the women's big air that I was watching for snowboarding, just such amazing footage is coming out of those as well. So I'm just really, really having a good time. And in a way, I'm almost sad that the first week of it is already over, because I love the Winter Olympics.
Yeah, I agree. It's slipping away, and it's just started, right? Like it's sort of like World Cup or whatever. It just goes so quickly. The sport that I most do not want to ever do is cross-country skiing, just because I think you've got to be the difficulty of that sport is just mammoth, and you've got to be physically fit plus to do it. Is there one that you would, you said you thought you might like to play a few. Is there one that you would just avoid like the plague?
So you picked mine, actually, Al. So I'm watching the 10-kilometer cross-country ski marathon, and there was a Norwegian gentleman that absolutely dominated the race. So I'm watching this, and like I said, I like to put myself in their shoes. Could I do this? And then I see the 10-kilometer cross-country marathon starts with an uphill climb at corner one. All I could think about is, if I'm in that event, is that the announcers would have to come on and would say, well, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we have a Canadian man being dragged off by his boots at corner one because he only made it a fraction of the way up the hill. That is one of those ones where it is such a toll on the body, and it is amazing, the resilience and the stamina that these athletes have. Just a truly remarkable feat. So yeah, I'm with you. The cross-country skiing, I'm tired watching it.
What kind of ass hattery does the folks who are going to put the route together get a long, tall climb at the beginning of that race? That's just cruel.
It's cruel. And like I said, as somebody who likes to put myself in that situation, all I could think of is like, well, there goes Bag Milk, corner one, not even halfway up the hill. He's taking his skis off and he's walking up. So it really is incredible. And then I think of other things too, Al. As a 40-year-old, I tend to think of these things now. I'm watching the ladies moguls the other day, and all I could think about is my knees evaporating into dust as they're going over the moguls. So again, just max respect for these athletes. It truly is incredible to watch them do their thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at a point in my life where if I was going to be the flag bearer, you'd still have to have the ambulance driving alongside me, even for that level. Listen, enjoy. Thank you. We'll look forward to talking to you next week. Be good.
Thanks, Al.
There you go. Bag Milk from Oilers Nation. We're going to take a break. On the way, folks are wondering about what's happening in the background. They're hearing crickets. I'm going to ask our panel what they're doing, and we'll find out exactly what's going on in studio. And a few Oilers questions as well have popped up. We'll answer those next. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
60 years ago, we started selling trucks as Western GMC Buick. Today, we are Wolf GMC Buick. We're still located on the corner of 184th Street and Stony Plain Road with the same ownership for over 2 decades. Our customers have trusted our family-owned, community-driven business. And for that, we are thankful. If you're looking for a truck or SUV, pop in and one of our seasoned professionals will get you a great deal, hassle-free. Come trust our team at Wolf GMC Buick. Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique, family-owned, independent liquor store. The selection, incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive.
Together,
Sherbrooke Liquor, expert,
a
knowledgeable
long,
staff
tall
with
climb
a
at the
passion
beginning
for
of that
unique
race.
finds.
That's just
more than
cruel.
just a liquor store. We're a community, Alberta's best.
Thing,
The
and,
one and only Sherbrooke
I know
Liquor.
exactly what's going on in
spirits,
studio, don't
and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
See you next week. Be good.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
Hello. You're never going to believe this. Booster Juice called your name today. You can get a free smoothie or acai bowl.
No way. I'm heading there now.
Oh my gosh, you and my brother have the same name. Okay, I'm calling him next. I'm hanging up.
Booster Juice Names of the Day is back. 2 names are selected each day, and if your name matches, you can get a free smoothie or an acai bowl. Watch for your name on the Booster Rewards app and social media. Must be an app member to qualify. Booster Juice, Canadian-born, blending since 1999.
Just think, Kevin Karius has been covering Edmonton sports since before TikTok, Twitter, texting, and the Titanic. We may have made that last one up. Check out Karius in the mornings on Sports 1440. Your game, your station.
Shoulder pain. It can make even the simplest things like reaching up, lifting a bag, brushing your teeth, or sleeping frustrating. Rotator cuff strains, impingement, arthritis, they're some of the most common issues we treat every day. I'm Grant Fedoruk, and at Leading Edge Physio, our team brings postgraduate training, evidence-based technology, and just the right amount of humor and humility to help you feel better. Because we never forget the most important part, the gratitude we feel for every patient who allows us the opportunity to care for them. Because life shouldn't hurt. When it does, leadingedgephysio.com.
The Hockey Super League is proud to launch its 9th season, delivering independent, borderless hockey. This year, over 125 teams will compete across Alberta, Saskatchewan, and for the first time ever, Colorado, USA, with showcase style action, cross-province rivalries, and a strong commitment to player development. The HSL is the premier destination for families seeking balance and athletes chasing the next level. The Hockey Super League. Hockey without limits. For athletes born in 2013 to 2018, visit hockeysuperleague.com to learn more.
Business owners, if rising electricity costs are cutting into your profits, there's a smarter way forward. Right now, federal clean technology tax credits can cover 30 to over 50% of the cost of a commercial solar system, delivering an immediate return on your investment. And in Edmonton and Sturgeon County, the Commercial Clean Energy Improvement Program offers long-term financing for up to 20 years, making solar more affordable than ever. Lock in lower energy costs for decades and strengthen your bottom line. Visit GreatCanadianSolar.com to get started.
When your driveway's covered in snow, Toro and the Lawnmower Hospital have you covered. Toro's gas or battery-powered single-stage power clear snowblowers make it easy to clear right down to the concrete with incredible Toro-powered Propel technology. Face the next snow day without fear, thanks to Toro and the Lawnmower Hospital. Visit lawnmowerhospital.com.
The Lawnmower Hospital. The Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. Author, musical connoisseur, sports know-it-all. Yes, a man for all seasons.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
It's 1440 at 122. Brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. Check them out at wolfgmcbuick.com. If you didn't have enough hippie in your life, a little Grateful Dead there for you. Why does it sound like there's crickets in the background? I've checked with our astute and learned colleagues, and they say there isn't. So it could be at your location, Steve from Ardrossan. That would be my guess. Lots of pressure on Bowman. If this deadline does not go well, it's early playoff exit, I don't think he makes it to July 1. He's had some good moments, great moves, but GMs are judged more on failure than successes. Any more misses, and he's likely out. I don't know, Jason. I think they made a decision to try to get younger, and they did at some level with Matt Savoy. But Leon said it at the break. You know, it's a different team now. This is the point at which Stan Bowman, and I guess at the direction of Jeff Jackson and more importantly, Daryl Cates, they have to decide if they're all in on this. You know, it's like if you're playing poker, you want to see the flop, and then you figure out what you're going to do, and you're going to go all in or whatever. The Oilers have been going on in for a decade, so I think it would behoove them to maybe not do that. That said, I'm not the one sitting there with 3 more years of Connor McDavid under contract, so it's easy for me to say, right, in my little team building brain. Stan Bowman has, I think probably a little bit of pressure to make this work. And, maybe the plans in July and August and September that involved Savoy this year and maybe Howard halfway through the year and on and on and on. Maybe that's not going to work for this group. Maybe they feel like, okay, we've changed out the goaltending. We're okay with the defense, but we need some help and veteran help up front, and we're going to use Ike Howard as trade bait or whatever the case may be. That is possible. There's a real danger because we've talked about a tipping point where your team is simply too old and not fast enough. And I do think there were times last year, possibly due to injury, that the Oilers were not fast enough, and that was a problem for them. And I'm not absolutely certain that they're playing enough youth to make a difference right now. Certainly, injuries have had an impact. Guys like, Trent Frederick have not been as healthy and effective as you want them to be, right? So there is that. Book it. LT just jinxed Howard. Be the new Satan. Hated when they moved on from him. His talent was so obvious. Well, he scored 24 goals in 25 games. So that was a lot, right? But they traded him. That was a sad day, man. His numbers were so good. And you're like, okay, there's just simply got to be a way for him to find a way into the lineup. And the Oilers had a lot of really good young wingers at that time. So, it's not like they were suffering. But that was the best one. And they let him go. And it really did hurt. There's no doubt about that. Are you a deadhead, Tide? I like the Grateful Dead. I don't know that I'm a deadhead. The music that I grew up with was like, I liked Bowie and Elton John and Earth, Wind and Fire and Deep Purple. And I loved Boston's first album and Fleetwood Mac. And I loved ABBA. So I'd say I was like pop, country, hard rock, heavy metal. But I wasn't I liked Grateful Dead. I just wasn't a deadhead. Like I didn't follow them around in concert or anything. Possibly because I had no money at all. That would have contributed to it for sure. Afternoon, gents. There are tons of crickets in Ardrossan. King of Fort Nasty. Okay. Lowetide for GM. That's a bad idea. First thing I'd do is sign Mark Pouliot, who is still playing in Switzerland for my third line center. No, and I have this conversation with people all the time, and like they're like, well, the math tells you, and it does, but you also have to it's like scouting a player, right? Like I can tell you that this junior hockey player is doing really well, and somebody should draft him based on the numbers. But is he a fast skater? Is he a slow skater? Does he have a brain for the game? I don't know those things, and that's why you need scouts. A perfect example of that is Connor Clattenburg. He's a guy who offensively, the numbers did not suggest that he'd be like in the NHL as a 20-year-old, as a for instance. And the scouts obviously saw something about him that made him, worth drafting, depth pick, but he's already played in the National Hockey League. That's really unusual for a 20-year-old. The last guy who, with that kind of skill set, who did that was probably like Kelly Buchberger in like 1988. I think he was drafted, and he was here by 90. It's craziness how quickly he got to the National Hockey League. In Red Deer, under certain power lines, I hear a sound that sounds like the intro to Wichita Lineman on my radio when tuned into 1440 JR in Red Deer. That might be the coolest text we've ever gotten. Wichita Lineman is one of the greatest songs ever. Such a good record. I need you more than I want you, and I want you for all time. Now compare that to the music that these young people listen to today. That is a brilliant lyric. Come over when you want, and maybe I'll spend time with you. Not so much. And that's the kind of music that Josh listens to. Like a lot. Steve from Ardrossan. Oops, wrong number. Sorry, guys. Okay. LT, it would have been tough to keep up with the Deadheads. That's a lot of things to do. If you ever want to read about the Grateful Dead, their manager was infamous for something, and I'll leave it at that. But the Grateful Dead story is wicked good, and I mean, I used to buy, because I'm a nerd, I used to buy Billboard magazine back in the day to get the top 10 and the top 40 and all that. And they, at the back of the Billboard magazine those years, they'd have the top 20 concerts that week across, North America. And the Grateful Dead would always be 1 through 7. Whatever 7 concerts they played that week were the highest grossing concerts in America. They just went from town to town, and they had people that followed them, and then other people who were in the town who would go and, have a combination of things that made the weekend work. No band has the history of Grateful Dead. It's true. I don't know how many are left. Phil Lesh died not long ago. I don't know how many are left, but they've certainly lost a few band members along the way. ALT, do we know if the players not going to the Olympics are skating on their own during this period? I know that there's a chance that practices start. Do we know what date they're going to be back practice? Gregor will know. The players who are not in the Olympics will be able to practice as a team in the period of time leading up to the end of the Olympics and the start of the NHL games returning. I don't know about you guys. Maybe I can ask you. We can go around the table. We haven't done that much today. I really miss the NHL. I mean, I know I sound like a big baby, but I really miss the day-to-day of the National Hockey League. It gives me structure. I love all the sports that are generally available. And then Declan keeps me updated on the highlight, which is not generally available. But I miss the NHL hockey. Do you guys?
Honestly, not as much right now, because I think before the break, things were pretty, at least in Oilers land, things were pretty bleak. Everybody was pretty upset. So this Olympic break, I've really enjoyed, because we're all just cheering on the Canadians. Even if they don't medal, they maybe got a personal best, and I'm okay with that.
I do agree with that. I think that I love medals. Don't get me wrong, but I love the story of I don't remember the name, and that's my bad. But she'd been there to the Olympics 2 or 3 times and had never won an individual medal, and won a bronze this time. to me, that I love that story. And anybody who doesn't understand the impact and the appeal of a bronze to an athlete who's given up like over a decade of their life, more than that, 20 years, whatever it is. I mean, I think if you look at it from their point of view, that's a major accomplishment. So that's the part I like. What about you? Do you miss the NHL?
They could have been a tenth of a second faster and gotten a goal.
I know, right?
Whatever.
Yeah, it's a little bit, unfair.
From a fan perspective, I definitely don't miss the NHL as much as I don't know, should or thought I would or whatever, because Team Canada's playing right now and there's lots to go around. As a guy who has this job, man, do I ever miss the NHL. Woo, doggy. Being able to, I don't know, just talk about the Oilers' woes. Like, how often do we say good things about the Oilers at this station?
Well, we try.
We try, but then someone says they should fire Knobloch, and then for 45 minutes or whatever, we're talking about why the Oilers shouldn't fire Knobloch or why they should.
Well, they shouldn't fire Knobloch.
Why,
That's
whatever.
Come on.
Do it. Why not? You know what? Shake some things up. They did it to Woody. They'll do it to Knob.
Well, they will eventually because every NHL coach gets fired.
And I just want to see, my team either just tank a little more, but whatever.
Yeah, your team needs to lose better.
Yeah, they need to be
Can't
better.
even do
they
that
need to be
right.
the Sacramento Kings of the NHL. I don't know what part of this they're not understanding. They need to try hard, but just lose regardless. Like the Sacramento Kings. But if they pull a Utah Jazz style of tank, I guess I wouldn't mind that either. That was basketball, for those of you who weren't aware. This was Josh, by the way.
So are you implying that listeners wouldn't be aware of what you were saying?
I was just making sure.
Okay.
Just clearing the air. Huh? Yeah, it's true. It's true. Hey, I think I said Sacramento Kings though, Deck.
We should this is from Stuart. We should call Josh Cheese so you can say, okay, back to mac and cheese. That's a stretch, right?
That's not bad.
She's already got one nickname. She reacted.
She does not have one nickname.
Yes, she does.
She has 9. One of them was up on screen right now. Big Mike.
Oh,
That's
nice.
my personal preference.
Nice.
Yeah. But then Connor calls her Country Mac. Then there's just Mac the intern, Mac the knife. Evidently now mac and cheese if you start calling me cheese. But that doesn't make any sense, but not bad for a duo.
I don't know if I've heard Kevin call me Mac the Knife since my first week.
It's a wonderful point.
So
I just want
can
credit for not
act that
actually
way.
continuing this farce. I have not given her a nickname. I've just reacted to all the other nicknames.
Good job.
I haven't given Josh a nickname. I haven't given Declan a nickname.
Yeah.
He keeps trying to call himself the Big Holy, which I think is just too much.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. Husk says, what do you think of Big Sugar? Going to see them tonight. One of the best Canadian bands for sure from Husks. One of my favorite songs is All Hell for a Basement. I love that song. And I've heard it, the Rocky Roly original. I've heard acoustic versions of it. It's just a great record. So, yeah. Here's what happens, though. Here's what happens when you get older, okay? I like Big Sugar. I do. I think they're a great band. But you have kids, right? And so at some point in time, even though you like Big Sugar, you're listening to Fred Penner and you're taking your kids to Fred Penner concerts. So, and you're not cool. Even though you like Big Sugar, you're in a different phase of your life. So I like Big Sugar and I love All Hell for a Basement, but I haven't heard it in years. Do you like Big Sugar? Either of you? Any of you?
I don't know if I've ever heard of Big Sugar.
Oh,
That might be a faux pas on my part. Yeah.
No, that's fine. I mean, they're not exactly, new. But if you listen to All Hell for a Basement, I do know a little bit about the city of Medicine Hat, and it does have All Hell for a Basement. So anyway, all right. Are you ready, Declan?
He says yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, yeah, the microphone thing. All right. Declan Krueger is going to have declinations, and we're talking NBA, basketball, and more straight ahead. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
Do you work for a company that wants to reach people who love sports? Or maybe you're looking to hire people who love sports. Sports 1440 partners with dozens of local businesses, connecting with tens of thousands of Edmonton sports fans every day. On the radio, on the listening apps, on YouTube, and on social media. Contact our sales team today to see what Sports 14...
Il était bien couvert, mais voilà qu'il reprend, mais la passe est derrière Wilson. Et voilà le tir! Tir qui semblait abandonner de la ligne bleue, avec à peine 5 secondes 7. C'est 1-0 le Canada.
Bravo, Michael! Ça crie pas juste en studio, on entend la famille! Partout au Canada, au Québec! Pour de vrai! Et Kingsbury! Oh, que d'émotion! Le roi des basses, oui, je peux souffler! Quel soupir! Ici, c'est Michael. Je crois qu'il y avait énormément de pression.
Williams, that was picked off by Walsh. I was in the bad body club too when I played. I didn't have no six pack or anything like that, but look at this. Walsh, oh, the energy.
White slow plays it. Walsh ends up with it. Gets inside and scores.
I like to pick up. David off the bench. In low. They score! Off Suzuki! On the feed by McDavid. It's 5-0. I played. I didn't have.
Now with Lowetide on Sports 1440 for Wolf GMC Buick, 143. And it's time for Declinations, presented by Elks Nation. Check out the new website, elksnation.ca. Articles, podcasts, and more breaking down the green and gold, especially lately with the media veil introducing all the new players. There's lots happening, draft to come. Check it out. The most in-depth double E football coverage available online, elksnation.ca. And now, the man, the myth, the legend, he's even changed chairs for you to make this a more enjoyable experience for you, the viewer and listener. Ladies and gentlemen, Declan Krueger.
Do you miss having me over here?
You kind of do. It's easier to communicate. Yeah.
It's been
But
Sam
you're
was here.
doing a great job. Mackenzie's doing a fabulous job, I'm sure, under your tutelage.
Well, that's kind of the idea. I'm trying to be,
and
because I originally went to school to be a teacher.
Yeah.
So I'm tapping into those roots.
Right.
Mackenzie, how have I been doing as a teacher?
Really good, I'd say.
Really good, she says.
Even when I just messed up there, you're like, it's all good.
Yeah. Listen,
Well,
Don't
he
worry,
does that
don't
all the
stress.
time. You
Don't
mean with
stress.
the pot down on the music? Yeah, he does that all the time.
The thing is that I always like to remind people is like, we're not orthopedic surgeons. So if something goes wrong, the stakes aren't that high.
Yeah.
You know
This
what I mean?
isn't brain surgery.
And the other thing is like, if you mess up on, some of the other shows on the station, fired. Here, we kind of have a laugh about it.
Well, also, we number one, I think part of the show is that we're loose like Neil Young and Crazy Horse at the Fillmore in 1970 October.
Right.
But we're great rock and roll. It's just a little loose.
100%.
Yeah.
Grateful Dead is another great comparison.
Fabulous.
All
Of course,
right.
they do a lot of other, grass and stuff. And
I could have told you that story. Like my dad met their manager on a plane once, and he kept in contact with him for a number of years. I always forget exactly who it was, but it's a really cool story. I know he loves telling it. You would actually love to talk to him about that.
Well,
I should
I
get you
would,
guys in
because
touch.
the Grateful Dead have some people in their, satellite
Mhm.
of the band that are like infamous in terms of all timers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The Deadheads are the only fan base that can rival them is the Lowetidians.
No.
Those are the only
No.
ones in the same stratosphere. I should probably start talking about basketball.
Sure, why don't we do
only-
that?
And here's the other thing. I basically had to restart my computer, so I have nothing pulled up that I want.
Okay, well,
But
let me.
I know what I want to talk about.
All right. Okay.
I want to talk about teams that, and I'm glad Josh is back in the room because Josh, fellow hooper,
he knows his
We're
ball.
not just dunking with Declan. We're also jamming with Josh. I want to talk about teams that I think can compete in both conferences. There's kind of a general rule of thumb, if you will, or like an unspoken kind of thing in the NBA that Phil Jackson kind of made famous, where you have to win 40 games before you lose 20 to really be able to compete for a title. And I don't know what the actual numbers are as far as past teams that have won it, but it's a very high clip based on that. So currently this year, Oklahoma City has done it at 42-13. Detroit has done it at 40-13. Boston could do it if they win their next 5 in a row, and San Antonio also can do it. They just need to go 2-3 in their next 5 games, and they'll
Okay.
do it as well. So those 4 teams. Oklahoma City, they're the thing, like they should be the favorite to win. I think they're the best team. They have the experience. They have the guy who's going to win the MVP again in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But at some point with OKC, you just watch them and you wonder, you're like, is the officiating ever going to break the other way? And what happens when it does? And Detroit, funny enough, is actually similar to that. Like someone pointed out, and they made a really great point, like watch Detroit anytime there's a rebound. Like it's like water polo under the water where you're getting scratched and hacked. Like that's what Detroit is doing when you go up for those rebounds. And they've kind of made a living off it, and they have a great defensive identity because of it. But with OKC, it's so tough to pick against them. Now, they're not, when they got off to that historic start where they had like 1 loss, everyone was kind of penciling them in. I wasn't quite ready to do that despite their experience, despite how they were playing, because I do think they have problems. But they're 42-13. I think their positives far outweigh their negative. I think that's evidenced by their record and the fact that they're the best team in the league. Like they're different iterations of championship teams we've seen in the last little while. They've kind of had a thing
And they've been, the best team. They've won the championship because of that thing. OKC has multiple things. Like, they have a guy who can take over and go get you 40 points and win the game by themselves. They can win they can win a game through defense. They can win a game playing in the half court. They can win a game shooting the ball 6 seconds into the shot clock. They have like 4 guys on the perimeter who can take your best player out of the game. Like, look at that Minnesota series last year with Ant Edwards. He was just running into a wall of Kaysen and Dort and Caruso. Like, he had nothing. They have guys that can take your best player out of the game. And then they have a great rim protector in Chet. So they deserve to be the favorite, but I still don't think they're a great defensive rebounding team. I think San Antonio has proven to be a really tough matchup for them. They still have their flaws. And I've kind of wondered, I've said this about Shea, and Josh has disagreed. I feel like when Shea gets into a slump, he has a tendency to try and really shoot himself out of it. And it's funny. I also brought up Carmelo, and we had talked about Carmelo a couple of days ago. Like, when Carmelo was in a slump, he had to shoot himself out of it. Or do you want Raymond Felton taking the shots? Like, forget about it. With Shea, it's like if he's in a slump, Jay Will is right there. And Jay Will is actually a whole different discussion. We won't touch on that today. But Jay Will's right there. Like, Caruso can go get a bucket. Kaysen can go, like, Chet can be a 20-point guy. Like, if you're 2 for 13, you don't have to still take your 25 shots. Like, you can share the ball, but I feel like he's a tendency to kind of shoot himself out of things. I also think when he doesn't get the whistle, it wears on him a little bit. I'm not saying these are going to hurt them. They'd still be my pick to win, but it's something that's worth mentioning with OKC. I want to let Josh talk about OKC as well. Then I want to talk about Detroit. I'm realizing
I want to ask you a question about Detroit after you're done.
Yeah, no, I don't really have that much to say about OKC. I feel like I talk about them a lot, especially with Paul. That, like,
don't you think they're also kind of boring in like the best way?
At this, yeah, and also that the Thunder have really cooled off, and it's kind of shocking to me. And then, like, I think that's where you and I's conspiracy theory about Jalen Williams, J-Dub, comes in. So, yeah, like I don't know. The Thunder, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the playoffs. Honestly, they're the only team since the 1970 and 71 Bucks and the Bucks the next year to have a plus 650 point differential or better in back-to-back seasons. So yeah, there's that.
You got to admit though, like the whistle they get versus what they don't get on defense is pretty, like, it's easy to not root for them because of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I even remember one of my first days here last year. Brandon was like, so Shea, foul merchant. You're like, I've been trying to tell everybody that Jokic, the real MVP. So that sort of stuck with me a little bit. I do want to touch on the Pistons though, because I have the statistic that you were looking for.
Is this their defensive
the 40 the 40 before 20 thing? 91.3% of NBA champions since 1980 have won 40 games before their 20th loss.
Wow.
So that's 41 of the 45 champions that we've had since 1980.
That's amazing. My question about the Pistons is this. For me, the golden era of the Pistons was when Chuck Daly was coach, and they were filthy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were legitimately filthy.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're a Pistons fan who's been paying attention over the years, and I'm not, would this team remind you of that team?
Yeah, absolutely. Apparently, it's just every 20 years this happens, because it goes from the Bad Boy Pistons to then the Ben Wallace, Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, Rasheed Wallace Pistons to now this iteration of the Pistons. And yeah, like, they have Isaiah Stewart, who's probably the biggest grinder in the league, if you want to call him that. But they do kind of play, like I said, with that gritty defensive reputation. They play with that gritty defensive reputation. They go up hard for the rebounds. Like, they'll elbow you underneath the hoop, things like that. But they're defensively, because here's another issue that I had about Detroit. I didn't think they actually shot the ball that well. And then you look at their numbers and you're like, no, they actually do shoot the ball well, despite only having Duncan Robinson as a shooter.
Right.
And Cade is a guy who I like. His splits early in the season weren't great. Like, he was close to 30 a game, but he wasn't really that efficient from the field. He wasn't shooting it great from three. And I was kind of like, when is this going to correct itself? Like, when is this going to catch up to him? Is it going to be in the playoffs? And now, 50 some games into the season, when you look at the rest of the Eastern Conference, like, it really is them and everyone else in the East. Like, the fact Boston is where Boston is with that roster, I know JP Bickerstaff has been kind of locked in as coach of the year by a lot of people. If Boston can pass Detroit in the standings, which isn't out of the realm of possibility the way they're playing, even though Detroit's playing very well too, we got to talk about Joe Mazzulla in that coach of the year conversation, what they're doing. But the rest of the East, like Karl Anthony Towns, he's now 6th in minutes in the fourth quarter for the New York Knicks. Like, Mike Brown doesn't trust him at all. Boston, I really like it's tough for me to say anything negative about Boston. I can't sit here and do it. Cleveland has just been so underwhelming, and then Toronto, who rounds out. I'll actually do Toronto and Philly. Toronto, who's fifth in the East right now. They're probably never in any playoff series going to have the best player in that series. And, I don't want to speak ill of Josh's favorite team, but at some point you kind of got to shake your head and be like, okay, like Brandon Ingram's your crunch time scorer. How far can you really go? And then Philly is the last one there. I'll just talk about them before we wrap things up. Like they've over exceeded expectations. Tyrese Maxey is a baller. But it's kind of similar. You're like, it's always which version of the 76ers are we going to get come playoff time?
By the way, Courtney Sareau has found a way to the podium for Canada. So it's a bronze for Canada. And in the 500 meter race. So there are 5 possibilities or whatever. We have one so far here this afternoon. So it's now 7 medals for Canada, 3 silver and 4 bronze. And a big day, 3 medal day for Canada today. Jason Krueger will have more on that coming up. Obviously, Oilers talk. Canadian men and women in hockey, both shutouts today. So that'll be the subject at hand. It's all straight ahead. How far from the music are we there, young lady? No.
Right on cue.
Why can't we have this when you're the producer? Where I call upon it and it's like I'm in control.
I know. You would like that, wouldn't you?
Yes,
I would never let it happen. I dictate things. Yeah. I dictate things around here. Make note. You guys ever seen The Newsroom? I'm Emily Mortimer.
Are you really?
I'm the executive
well, that
producer.
Explains a lot.
You're Jeff Daniels, though. Not a bad spot.
Well, hey, I like him in that.
show.
That's a really good show, by the way.
He made $8 million a year in that show, I think.
Loved it. Oh, man. Boy, did I blow through that coin. All right. Jason Krueger on the way. Please enjoy your day.
The men's short track 1,000-meter speed skating is underway right now with William Danginu in the final. Women's short track 500-meter speed skating, Courtney Sarault has taken the bronze, and men's snowboard cross also finished this morning with Elliot Grandi taking the silver in a photo finish. Canada's men's hockey team beat Czechia 5-0. They take on Switzerland tomorrow at 1:10. Also, the U.S. men's hockey team is taking on Latvia right now, and they are currently up 1 goal. And 3 games in the association, Milwaukee and OKC tip off at 5:30. Portland is in Utah, and the Mavs and Lakers have the late slate. Off the court, Utah Jazz center Jaren Jackson Jr. is now out for the season. Next on Sports 1440 is the Jason Krueger Show. I'm Mackenzie, and that's your Sports 1440 update.